What is up, everybody? Daniel here, and this is going to be something new. So, I am working pretty hard all the time on the motorcycle safety aspect and hazard perception, all those different things on the Dan Dan the Fireman channel. So, probably wondering why we're on the After the Ride channel right now. That's because I want to put some of the, after the ride stuff on here. So typically when I'm on the ride, I'm focused on safety. I'm focused on all these different things. And that's kind of what I want to put out there for Dan and the Fireman main channel. Over here, though, I want to talk with you basically about the stuff that happens after. So the stuff that I kind of got rid of, or not really got rid of, but the things I got, I moved from over there on Danny and the Fireman was the mental health stuff. So specifically, I still feel like I need an outlet for that. On top of that, I would like to, add a few more things out there. Maybe there's going to be a after the crash. So maybe I can interview some of these people after their crashes. And then even some of you guys, DDFM crew members or whoever, if you have a crash, I'd love to talk to you and kind of get the mental, physical, and the financial toll of it all, and just kind of who you are. But today's or this video, I don't know, we're gonna probably put it on Spotify and all that stuff. This is the first one. I kind of wanted to talk to you guys about like this weekend that happened with me. Now, the way our brains work. So let's go ahead and take a step back. Who am I? I'm Daniel, 32 years old, and I've had depression and anxiety for I don't know how long. It's one of those things where I just never understood. It was diagnosed though, January 2018, February 2018. Went on the Prozac for a while. Went on Xanax for a while, for a full year, and then I've been off it since possibly July now of 2019. But I've had the symptoms and I've had all the issues for a long time, and I'm going through therapy, couples therapy right now, and I don't know how much I'm gonna be able to talk about, because it does involve my wife and everything. But I've gone through my own personal therapy to kind of retrain my brain, and that's kind of where I wanted to pick up with this weekend. And this video is actually, if you have anxiety and depression, you kind of know why I jump back and forth. It's very hard to even make this video or podcast, whatever you want to use. This visual, audio, whatever source you're listening or watching on. We don't understand our brains, and I don't know what's right. I don't know what's wrong. I don't know what a normal brain's thinking of. I don't know any of these things, and that's the great thing about therapy is you'll be able to get through that. But this weekend, there was things that pissed me off, and I understand you guys probably want a setting and a situation, and I'm going to try my best to give as much information as I possibly can without, inadvertently adding somebody to the story that might not want to be a part of it. So the biggest thing is I can just talk about what goes through my brain and how things work, and what happened this weekend was that I had this thought to my head. I was doing these demo events for Indian Motorcycle Tucson. It was a lot of extroverted work, and it really just kind of took something out of me that I didn't know. So Friday, Saturday, I did the demo event stuff, really put myself out there, really being extroverted. And then Sunday morning rolls around, and I just don't want to do anything, but at the same time I want to do something. So we go and drop my son off at his friend's house. He's gonna spend the night, so now it's just gonna be me, myself, my wife, and then my daughter. So I say, hey, let's go travel to Bisbee. So it's an hour and a half from Tucson. It's a decent ride. It's a nice ride or drive or whatever you want to call it. And my thing was I wanted to just get out of the house, and I wanted to do something not necessarily for me, but for my family. And sorry if you guys hear the like any noise. I'm exporting a video right now, so it's the fans for the computer is pretty loud, and I wanted to do that. So like I didn't want to do something for me. I didn't want to go and go karting or drinking or doing something that I typically would do in a situation like this. I wanted to do something with them, for them, but at the same time I need like some type of stimulation. And we're trying to figure all these things out. I'm getting pissed. Like I'm driving for, a long distance to drop off the kid and I'm driving back. Now it's time for us to get going. And my idea is starting to come to fruition. It's like I said it, but now I got to do it. And now that it's about to happen, it's like I'm getting pissed off. I'm trying to find reasons. Let's do something else. Let's do something in town. Let's not go out an hour and a half. I want to stay close to the house because if I feel anxious, I want to go back home. I want to be able to do this. And I was getting slight anger in my tone of voice. Like that was in my head, but talking to my wife, and I could tell it was upsetting her. And I finally just told her, let's go home. I want you to drive the car because if I'm driving the car, I'm not going to go. And that's almost like how it felt, is that it's like I just need somebody else to take over. Like I can't trust my brain. Like I'm being pissed at my family. I'm being pissed at all these different things. I'm like trying to find reasons to be upset just so I can stay home. And I know that's not right. So I literally just told her, take over. Basically, take over the decision, take over. And that's all it really took, because we got home and I said, no, I'm good. I'll drive. And I was fine. I actually was fine. It was almost like I needed that just to say that, but I was fine. And so we start taking off, we start going, and we're driving, and it was pretty interesting because the first 25 miles out of town, it's mostly interstate. So I'm sitting on this interstate just looking straight, and I just lean back. I'm just like leaning back like I'm doing in my chair right now, and just, fuck, this is all I need. This is all I need. I just need this. Like I just needed like this peaceful zone. And I think that's why a lot of us ride motorcycles, and I'll get into that a little bit. Like on the way back, there was a very interesting area. But I felt like I just needed that. And then I just all of a sudden it's like I did something in my brain that it's not used to. Like I had somebody else control it. And then on the way on that section, I started having like a piece of my brain telling me, you're like just being negative. Like I felt like it wasn't even a person. It was like a negative emotion. And then I had this conscious emotion of, this is not real. Like you're not supposed to be angry. And then this over here was like me telling it, like with my training, like if I didn't have the CBT, the cognitive behavioral therapy, just even the minor amount, I feel like that would have controlled it. And then I would have turned the car around and went to my safe place, which is honestly this room. But I started having this argument in my head almost, like, and then I got this frustration. Like I was frustrated with my brain, but then I was angry at, like, the negative emotion was trying to create anger. I was fighting it, so I wasn't angry, but I was still silent. And then I just had this frustration of my conscious mind part is frustrated with the negative emotion part. It's just this massive amount now of just frustration. I hope you guys can understand that. And I just started like wanting to cry. And it was rough. I was just in the car, it was rough. Just massive negativity and frustration. It was terrible. And then I started feeling terrible that I'm putting my family through this. I feel terrible. Like am I damaging the memory of this trip? And then now you got more negative. Then you got more like what the fuck, brain? Like, why are you doing this? Like, what was the situation? What happened today? You had a successful weekend. You went and did all these things. You met some awesome people at the demo event. You did good. The next day, okay, yeah, you're tired. Let's do something. Let's just kind of hang out. But then, and then this thing got dark on me. And then now it's just, let's be angry. Why? What the fuck? Why? Why can't I just have Like, why can't I just have that perfect Sunday? Why can't I have a perfect weekend? You know, just like many things happen good, but then why is my brain tired? It's almost like a cranky, you're hungry, and it was almost like that, but it's like I wasn't. It was like every other morning. I don't understand that. That's just insane. So I felt terrible. We got to Tombstone. I mean, bless my wife, you know, between me feeling like shit, she recognized it and softened me up a little bit. It's like I needed that touch, you know, like negativity, me trying not to be mad at my brain, and then a soft touch. That means a lot. So I started coming out of it, but then we got to Tombstone. I had to take some medication, and then when I feel more comfortable talking about that part again, I mean, I'm comfortable talking about the Prozac and Xanax, but the medication I'm taking now, it's kind of an experimental thing that it helped me. It calmed me down quite a bit. We're at Tombstone, and I purposely wanted to stop because, like I said, from the moment she recognized I was tearing up till we stopped, there's a bunch of times where I just wanted to pull the car over and get out and scream. Because that frustration, that anger, that I'm frustrated with my brain for being a bitch, basically. So part of the reason for stopping in Tombstone was for the graveyard. There's a graveyard there. It has the people from the OK Corral in there and a bunch of information. Pretty cool. Very cheap to get in. Very inexpensive. It was like $5 for all three of us, and it was well worth it. You know, just to let my daughter explain every tombstone. It was pretty cool. But I also wanted to stop because I wanted to scream. I needed to get out of this tiny vehicle. And that's kind of how I felt first thing in the morning. You know, I need to get out of the house. Let's go do something. And it was great. You know, everything was fine. And then from Tombstone to Bisbee, everything was fine. While we're at Bisbee, everything was fine. And then on the way back, everything was still fine. Like I felt like I needed that. You know, I needed somebody to physically take me out and get me out of there, out of the house. And my wife helped me out with that, so it was really great. On the way back, we took the long way because we're trying to figure out the ride from Tucson to Bisbee. And I wanted to do some of it off interstate, so we're trying to find the back roads, which were pretty good. And so we're trying to figure out how to get back without getting on the interstate. She has a Rebel 500, and I just didn't want to put her on an 75, 80 mile an hour road with the 500. So we're finding the back ways, and long story short, the back ways are about 65-ish tops, and it's a very good road for what we're going to do. And then there was a section of the road from, I think, Suarita. I could be completely wrong on that. And it's basically the road that Nikki and I have done before going to Patagonia and then back. So I knew that now that was good. But it was nighttime, very dark, and I just had this feeling again at this point. Because it's like I knew it was 30 minutes away from home, but I'm stressing out now. Now all the stuff is coming back because I'm almost home. So I'm thinking of all the things I need to get done while I'm at home. It was like my vacation was over, and now all the stress is coming back. And there's a section of the road that goes through some hills. It's not necessarily mountains, but some hills. And I was in the car. I had my daughter, I had my wife. You know, I have a reason to be safe, and I was going the speed limit, but I definitely wasn't going within the situation's limit. It was pitch black, no lights anywhere. It's a single lane road with oncoming traffic in the other lane. No passing in a lot of sections. Like I said, through the hills, so you're going through blind turns. So it definitely was a very dangerous situation in terms of hazards. And as a motorcycle coach, I know that. I was in the car though, and that frustration of thinking came about. And with that frustration of thinking that came about, I had now something that I always enjoyed about motorcycling is I was in control of a vehicle to where I had to be 110% focused on the task at hand. And when that's the case, you don't think, you don't rack your brain about what assignment needs to get done, what email did I not answer, what email has been not answered for a week now. And then you still put it off because it bothers you. So I didn't have to think about that. I was just driving. So I was doing the speed limit, but with the conditions involved, I should be going, under. But I was doing it. I felt so in control. I felt so good. The lines were perfect, all these things. And then once we got out of that section, everything just came back. So there really isn't a happy ending to this one. This was yesterday, or yesterday night, and I still feel the same. And this is something that I'm consistently dealing with day in, day out. When I do good on videos and I make a bunch in a row and I'm just creative and I'm working, editing, all these things, that's when I feel good. And it could be anything, it was firefighting, it was on an EMS call, but then to and from, and then station, it sucked. It just seems like I have to constantly be 100% focused on something or my mind's going to take over. So I'm constantly dealing with it. Nighttime, I have to be concentrated on a TV. Because I don't do well with people. But it sucks because I'm at home. I have to be concentrated on something. Hopefully I'm talking to the crowd, Hopefully I'm talking to the people that understand this. I don't even know if I'm going to put this out, to be honest. I know a lot of you guys are saying that it's good to hear it from somebody else, that I'm not the only one, so I do it, and then I see your guys' comments, and doesn't take everything away, it just lets me know that me even making this video or audio is worth it. It just, every day. So that's why I have a feeling that this video, podcast, whatever, playlist will constantly get content, because there's not a day or a moment that I'm not fighting my brain. There's not a day or a moment where I'm not thinking, what does a normal person think? What goes on in a normal person's brain? And when I say there's not a day or a moment that I don't think that, there literally is a day, not a day or a moment. I live in my head, and I only come out when I have to. So, hope everybody has a good day. I don't know how to end these. So we're going to figure it out. It's not on a downer. We're finding solutions. We definitely are finding solutions, and I think talking about it is huge. So this is for me, to be quite honest. So I'll see you guys around.